One night, a long time ago, I was browsing a ROM site for legal backups of games I already owned, of course, and I happened upon a game called Drac's Night Out. I had never heard of this game, so of course I had to download it and crack open the old Nesticle to see what it was all about. And apparently, Count Dracula got himself some Reebok pumps. Never knew Dracula was a sneakerhead. If there's a way to slap an advertisement on something, you better believe that someone's gonna figure out how to do it. And these days, commercial tie-ins generate billions of dollars, but back in the 8-bit and the 16-bit days, they were nowhere near as common, and they were of varying quality. I'm still resentful of the fact that as a kid, I never got to use my Pizza Hut coupon that came with Turtles 2. There just wasn't a Pizza Hut by me, and yeah, I could get better pizza anywhere else, but the important thing was the act of using the coupon. But back when companies were still figuring out how they were going to use video games to advertise to audiences, Dracula's Night Out was an attempt to get Reeboks out to kids. And the Reebok branding was extremely prominent in this game. It appears in the title screen as a power-up on the game and right square in the middle of the box art. Here's Count Dracula looking like a cross between Uncle Pennybags and Grandpa Munster doing his best hypebeast look at my shoes pose. Although granted, he doesn't have the sync to complete the look. Still, despite the amount of branding in this game, it wasn't presented as a game about Reebok, like say Cool Spot or the severely underrated Chex Quest. And the game itself is actually pretty fun and unique. You begin in Dracula's castle, which has now been overrun by villagers who are presumably there to end his reign of terror. You can't attack them directly, though. Instead, you have to stun them using your vision and knock them down using traps that are strewn all about the castle. Most of the traps are timing-based, and once you knock them down, you can then suck their blood. Get enough blood, and then you turn into a bat that helps you get through the castle more quickly. The other way to get through the castle more quickly? Put on some Reebok pumps, of course. Once Dracula gets his pumps on, he's way faster and he gains the ability to jump. And that makes sense because a lot of the hype around Reebok pumps was that they make you jump higher. I'm not so sure that Reebok ever specifically claimed that they make you jump higher, but that's what everybody thought. I had a pair back then, and I remember not even being so sure that when I was pumping on my shoes that I could even feel the air, but it was still fun to do. And they look pretty cool too. In fact, now I'm actually thinking that I kinda want to get myself a pair again. I guess the product placement worked. After you finally escape the castle, you get a cool little title card that's a reference to the original Nosferatu. The title card tells you that you're now going to town to look for Mina. And once you get to the town, the gameplay is completely different, switching to this aerial view that looks a lot like the Nightmare on Elm Street PC game. Now the angry mobs are searching for you in the streets, and it's really easy to screw yourself by walking into a dead end. And now in addition to the angry mobs, there's also regular unsuspecting villagers that you can feast on, and now you can turn into a wolf if you get enough blood. They also drop keys to let you go into houses, and inside the houses you'll find helpful old men, items, or sleeping women that you can turn into hot vampire babes who try to lead you to Mina. Emphasis on try. And then if you actually manage to find Mina on this surprisingly large map, you go back to Dracula's castle and the game starts all over again. Ultimately, this game, despite being finished, never came out, which is kind of strange to me considering the commercial tie-in and the fact that there wasn't a lot to it, but there were way worse games that came out for NES. In an interview with DigitPress.com, one of the game's developers, Mark Lesser, explains what happened. My favorite title at Microsmiths was Drac's Night Out, which Rex Bradford and I designed and programmed for the Nintendo NES. This was a fun game where the user controlled Dracula in his attempt to escape his castle by tricking and avoiding or hypnotizing the pursuing villagers and gaining strength from their blood. We designed a series of Rube Goldberg-like contraptions on each floor of the castle that, when properly triggered, could thwart the villagers. We developed this game as consultants to Parker Brothers. As we neared completion of the game, PB insisted that we include Reebok as a sponsor of the game by having Dracula wear Reebok pump shoes. Reluctantly, we complied, but the sponsorship was not enough to save the game, and although completed, it was never marketed. Ultimately, I think it's too bad that the game never came out. Maybe it could have used something a little extra in terms of different stages or game modes, but I think what does exist of the game is pretty interesting and worth a try if you can find it. Anyway, if you like this video, you'll probably like this one as well. I'm out of here.